Alright, I'm back the next day, which means I've got a little bit of a continuity break mentally. But we're trying to use our motivated reasoning where we decide that David is probably not one of the heirs, and trying to find proof of that. Which is basically what I could do to all of them, is just to assume that they're all frauds and then try to find the proof of it, basically. Just trying to find any real confirmation still. He's got so many goddamn blanks though, and I'm just like, what is the theme here? The Roottree Rift, Ruby, Ruby, Fountain of Youths, Ruby, Roottree Rift, Fountain of Youths. A lot of repetition in there. Courtney May Watts. Right. That's not a mom's daughter. Huh. That's interesting. We have the news time about 5Ps, but other than that, we technically have 0 mentions of his name in any of these titles, which might be why a lot of the blank ones are actually near the top of the list. Let's try doing normal searches. Sometimes I get into the weeds of like the creative specific searches and maybe don't always do like specific simple searches. Although 5Ps I'm already thinking might be so tangled up in Roottreemania that it's just going to bring up a different article. Okay, Felix Fellows. This is the page Felix Fellows, which is not a smoking gun. I guess that's the issue, is that there could be obvious things to look up, but that doesn't mean that they're going to be a smoking gun necessarily. Ah, spot in the back of my shoulder that just hurts. I don't know why. Anyway, His alias 5Ps is playing 5 pieces, an article you find on the website known for there's particularly harsh reviews of modern music, gives his recent album Root of All Evil 1 star. Root of All Evil is 5Ps' debut album. According to various sources, the album is mostly material that 5Ps recorded for his mixtapes before he became notable. Recorded with lyrical differences in professional production. Okay, that's an issue. Okay. Oh, and I was trying to find out what his age was based on Joanna and stuff. So we didn't look into that still. 5... So... When he became 5Ps, he hastily re-recorded old songs with new lyrics. Are the old lyrics revealing autobiographically revealing? Question mark that I forgot to put in there at first. And while we're at it, why not? Let's just capitalize the first bit. Yeah, alright. So that's my current thought process to try to go into. Dirty Devil, Dirt Poor. We know that he grew up an orphan. Apparently grew up poor because his songs are even about it, which is what being an orphan is. Let's see. All Your Problems was the first and only single released. After dropping the single, 5Ps announced he'd retained an infamous celebrity lawyer, Stevie Whitlock, to sue his family. Today doesn't seem like he's followed through. Stevie Whitlock is a lawyer with a history of publicity stunts and grandstanding. C-list celebrities. Sued a sandwich company for having short sandwiches. Yeah, I remember this. Never actually made much money from their campaigns. It's more like they do well off of just... they get publicity off of it. Is there a legal paper? Time. Miami Mercury. I don't remember where we are necessarily. Business Watch. Where is All Your Problems? Found a box in the back of the closet. Inside were love letters and photos related to Guy Hudson, as well as a letter from his father containing threats. Then he got rid of all of it except for the the one photo basically where they weren't nude. But like, you can get rid of the stuff from his father. I guess you wouldn't want to look at the stuff from the father, but the fact that it was incriminating feels like a reason to keep it. Let's see. Joanna Fellows and Beth Knox no longer employed in 1977. Yeah, I wrote that there. Based on that, 1977, he would currently be 22, maybe, or slightly older, because she was there for probably a couple of years. I don't know what his age is. He also has a history. Said the lawyer Whitlock artificially inflated his album sales, so he has a history of fraudulent behavior. He specifically has played tricks to raise his profile and make money before dishonestly, so it's in his wheelhouse. It is funny to me that Pixpop was used exactly once. I was waiting for it to come up again in this expansion, and we just have never used Pixpox since. Yeah, the video got banned altogether. So Rootable Evil, Periodicals, Modern Music Monthly, nothing there. But what about All Your Problems, since it's a single? No. What about Five Ps? Nope. I don't think that the library ever has anything besides books in this story, in this game's mechanics. But like, libraries are multimedia. You get all sorts of things there. Wasn't able to find out much about him. Look at All Your Problems in here. Hello. This track is the only new song on the album. The subject matter of the song is the hypocrisy of those that claim money is evil. He points out that the only people who think money is evil are those that have it, and those that can afford not to be greedy. In the song, 5Ps triumphantly talks about taking the Rootrees' wealth due to it being his birthright and giving it to those who need it most. You find a copy of the song on a suspicious-looking website and download it for your records. Oh, great. I've got so many viruses now. That's not what people mean when they talk about money being evil, necessarily. It's like the incentive structures of money corrupt the world and make things worse for most people. It's not that when you are within a capitalist society, you shouldn't touch money because it burns your skin. People that say money is evil understand that poor people would like to have some money so they can eat food and so on. It's just a fascinating, like, talking past each other moment of, like, that's just not what the conversation's about when people oh my god, the perspective on this CD is wild. They really try to make sure that they're flush with the counter usually. This one has fewer weird little mistakes than I think the base game did, but then out of nowhere this CD is just like, what is it doing? All Your Problems, 5Ps. It's not a great cover. Alright. This is the only single from Five Pieces' album Root of All Evil. It received some airplay but didn't make a big splash critically or commercially. Still, it's kind of catchy. Oh yeah, I can play it.
Attention, attention Roottrees. This is Five Piece coming at you from the real world. You know, the place you ain't ever lived in.
You say money is the root of all your problems. Root of all your
Man,
problems.
y'all are hypocrites, sitting back in your massive estates, built from the cash that your ancestors gave you, acting like you somehow deserve it, based on your family's creations. Yo. But looky here, sonny, don't you come for our money, or you might burn bright in hellfire someday, like that Madsen chick, and her two dads. My pappy's cleansing trust should keep you away. Yo, it's disturbing, catching a sermon from a geezer who's never known hurt, but blurts out these claims that somehow we're sinners, cause we didn't earn it, when all of your worth it came free with your name. You expect me to treat your lectures on greed as some expert creed from he without blame. How about instead, I turn my other cheeks and spread them. When you give me a kiss, you'll know just where to aim.
You say money is a root.
He sang about his butthole.
Let me take those problems away.
Whoever calls dollars the root of all evil, just trying to make small pursuits of real people. You silver spoon fiends, you're the world's purest treacle, while real world folks burn their spoons for the needle. So once more with passion, tell this poor tragic orphan how your mansions and Porsches are actually horrible.
How I'm better off penniless, grasping for morsels. I wanted my share.
That's actually extortion. With your candy ass name, synonymous with sweets. Oh, you wanna call me classless? I'm gangster from Portland, but I play that game. I came up on the streets. The only streets you reppin' are Park Place and Boardwalk. Hypocrisy, monopoly is toppling. When I knock, have G's.
Top off my pockets, please.
Cause the same God that got to steal my mom from me is what he wants, right? For you to live in poverty. And if you're suddenly not eager to unhand that fortune, that's unfortunate. I guess I'm gonna have to take my portion, and I'll do it all legally. Class action, courtrooms, decorum. I'm way past your fancy ass dormant.
You say money is a root of all your problems. Let me take those problems away.
Bring the choir in.
You say money is a root of all your problems. Let me take those problems away.
Yeah.
You say money is a root of all your problems. Let me take those problems away.
Whoever calls dollars the root of all evil, just trying to make small pursuits of real people. You silver spoon thieves, you're the world's purest treacle, while real world folks burn their spoons for the needle. Whoever calls dollars the root of all evil, just trying to make small pursuits of real people. You silver spoon thieves, you're the world's purest treacle, while real world folks burn their spoons for the needle. Whoever calls dollars
The fade out. I always hate fade out in any song. I mean, it's probably an exception somewhere, but I'm like, just fading out is just such a lack of an ending. It's just so just like emotionally frustrating to sit through when it happens. So that was probably the most entertaining song so far, just because it is lyrics about the plot of the thing that we're doing. So that's inherently more interesting than a random disco song and so on. From a mostly dead-end storyline about a random guy that didn't happen to do music. There's like individual lines here and there that kind of work, but then other lines where I'm like, oh, why'd you end on that syllable? That feels wrong. Like I'm not gonna do the fucking like diagramming or whatever people do to like freaking annotate rhyming schemes and so on. I've seen people do for rap music to figure out all the structure, because there's so much structure that goes into this stuff. But it just felt wrong several times. Or I'm like, nope, didn't like the feel of that line. God, is there anything in here I want? I did find it funny. There's like, you're hypocrites. You're hypocrites acting like you deserve this money because you're based on your family's creations, and I'm like, you're saying you deserve that money based on your ancestors. Like you both think the same thing. So like I mean, given what he says about money being the root of all evil, being stupid, and not being like, he makes systemic-ish adjacent arguments, but then isn't able to register that money is the root of all evil is a systemic statement, and not, unless he means to specifically call out the hypocrisy just of like, there is a thing where like rich people will be like, well, poor people shouldn't even have money because they just like don't know how to use it right. In fact, money just makes them worse off. Like there's I was fucking listening to old Big Joel videos when I was driving home from FC a few weeks ago at this point, last week I guess, and yeah, there's like an old Jordan Peterson thing where he says that like he makes the argument that based on the fact that based on the idea of like one hypothetical addict that would supposedly have their things together, but then every time they got paid they would vanish for a week and be shooting up and stuff like that. Based on that hypothetical character that might not even be real, it's actually bad for young people, for poor people to get money because they don't know what to do with it and they just immediately spend it on addict stuff. So don't give poor people money. The rich guy actually knows how to use money. It's fucking weird jackass. So like there are definitely people who make the argument that rich people deserve the money and poor people shouldn't have money because it's actually bad for them or something. And those people are insane and stupid, but also they're making self-serving arguments because they have money usually. So if that's what he's going for, then it vaguely makes sense. But overall, when people talk about money being the root of all evil, which I think is like I think that's a Jesus thing. I feel like there's a part of this goes back to Jesus, I think. And a lot of what he said, from whatever I've heard, I haven't like sat down and read the whole thing, but every time I get another Jesus quote, I'm like, that's actually solid. Like a lot of the Bible seems to be full of a lot of just insane shit, but then whenever it's a direct quote from Jesus, I'm like, actually, hang on, this guy's onto something. And he obviously, like the comment about like it's easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter the kingdom of heaven is a pretty damning critique of anyone who hoards wealth that is seen as stuff that people need in order to have resources, like people that are dragons sitting upon a pile of resources in a society that's supposed to be social and where people need things. Like that's antisocial behavior, and people, and it seemed like he was generally in favor of pro-social behavior. But I don't know if the money is the root of all evil specifically is a Bible quote or not. But generally speaking, they're talking about like the idea that one, money creates the idea that people can hold wealth in general, which then creates the incentive to hoard wealth, which then leads to inequality on massive scales and power structures that are built around the incentive to maintain said inequality forever. The introduction of classes and so on. Obviously, there was versions of that all the time because we had feudalism and things like that, and slavery. We've had several forms of how do we force power structures. But money is just kind of like inherently goes in that direction. It kind of can't function without creating classes and inequality and scarcity and profit incentives that harm the environment and all of the people in it. That's usually the problem. But yeah, this is just a mess. But anyway, he's just talking about he deserves the money because he's an heir. So the idea that the line about how they're hypocrites for thinking they deserve it just for being heirs is a little funny when he's currently campaigning to get the money himself. And as much as the blurb kind of mentioned it, I don't think this one really had that much of a hint that he was going to use his wealth to improve the world. Let's see. This is not an argument against the idea that he deserves his share if he, is part of the thing. if anything, the more heirs we can possibly identify, the more people are better off and the less rich everyone else in the family is. So I would like them all to be heirs, because then everyone gets poorer that is on the top of the rich thing, and most of these people have been proven to be really shit, so I don't really like them. So I would love to dilute this family's wealth. Was there anything autobiographical about this? Same got the cuts. Let's see. You want to call me classless? I'm gangster from Portland, but I play that game. I come up in the streets. The only streets you reppin' are Park Place and Boardwalk. Is that from Monopoly? Your hypocrisy monopoly is toppling. When I knock, have Jeeves top up my pockets, please, because the same God that got to steal my mom from me, it's what he wants, right? For you to live in poverty. Those lines kind of work, yeah. We already know that he's the one, right? That his mom died in the hurricane, right? Yeah, because he's an orphan, obviously. I lost my spot. Okay. I'll do it illegally. Class actions, courtrooms, decorum, way past your fancy ass doorman. Long repeating chorus bit. Is there anything specific? I just want him to reveal something. But this was when he's already playing the character. This part I remember sounding like it was like, ooh, that musically sounded like shit. Was the part with the Madsen chick and the two dads and everything. I was like, those words didn't work together. Wonder if even the game thinks that it's one of the things. All your problems. Root of all evil specifically isn't so much a thing. We did get one of them. Oh no, that is all your problems. That is one of the things. Okay. This is a smoking gun? Fuck. There's so much text, man. There's so much text in some of these documents. This guy's hard to unpack. The double use of root, because root of all evil. Money is the root of all evil, and when the families are called Roottrees is pretty great. That is an inspired little moment. Look here, Sonny, don't come for our money or you might burn bright in hellfire someday. Sounds like Miracle Roottree, who specifically countered 5Ps in the next issue of that magazine. I don't know if the magazine or the album happened first. A recurring reference to people using heroin. Because they're riffing on the silver spoon, which is used to reference rich people, and then of course there's the lighter under the spoon for heating heroin or whatever. Have not paid close attention to how that process works. Your candy ass name synonymous with sweets. Some gangster from Portland. Was he always from Portland? Or moved to Portland because she was afraid for her and her son's life? That's not a surprise. Let's see. There's no mention of Teen Blast in here. Did I try them? Five Pieces is popular and attractive enough that even though his music is not targeted towards teen girls, they seem to not be paying attention anyways. While he hasn't done any interviews with the magazine, they've listed him among the hunky hotties for the past few months with small bios that tell you various facts about him. This includes his real name, David, his birthday, February 9th, 1977. His star sign, Aquarius, where he grew up, foster care in Portland. His star sign would just be given away by his birthday, wouldn't it? Isn't it the same every year? A letter to the editor also claims it's not possible that he was born in 1977. He claimed in a song called 17 Magazine, they turned 17 in 1992. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Now there might be a smoking gun. Okay, there's a song called 17 Magazine. 17 Magazines, sometimes referred to as 17 Magazine, is the title of an unreleased and controversial song by Dirty Davy. There's mentions of it on a few sites claiming that it was the first release of his first mixtape but was removed. There's no audio or visual evidence of it existing, but there are independent accounts from people who have claimed to have heard it, and they do generally line up. According to their recollection, it was about many different loosely connected occurrences of the number 17, mostly violent. The intro states it was written on Davy's 17th birthday and involved a fictional but glorified series of murders at a fashion show for a teenage magazine with a similar name to the song title. Is that a real... fictional but glorified series. Okay, so is the magazine also fiction? The person doing the violence was apparently trying to beat Dahmer's high score. Jeffrey Dahmer had pled guilty to killing 16 people in 1992. Due to major acts of gun violence in schools earlier this year and subsequent backlash against violent music and video games, it is generally considered very poor taste to bring it up. Most of the people that enjoy mentioning it online are either trolls or trying to shock people or come away from the morbidly curious corners of the internet. He made a song called 17th, on his 17th birthday. If he turned 17 in 1992, then he is now 24. Okay. We're looking at Joanna Fellows, who left in 1977. Was she there 2 years earlier? Oh, wait. Guy Hudson wasn't there. Guy Hudson just joined the leadership here in 1977 and was not present until then. In the staff, at least. Like right now, in 1977, they're technically involved in the same like overall like leadership, I guess. So it could have happened in 1977, but if he's 2 years older than that, then it's before Guy Hudson was in the proximity of his mom. Yeah, I think she was one of the originals, from this perspective at least. Joanna Robertson. She changed names. Joanna Robertson is now Joanna Fellows, then Joanna Fellows is gone. She gets married in 96. So he's probably just the son of the father. Riley Fellows. Your dad's probably just Riley. Oh, we found more. So 17 Magazines was part of it. That's good. How do I get more of the leads, though? I think this is it. Like... Do... If he turned 17 in 1992, then he's too old. His mom only worked with a guy in 1977. No sooner, no later. Very narrow window. If I was reading that correctly anyway. Which I hope I was. The guy joined in 1977. Same year that she left. Pretty specific. It's gonna be a bit of a problem. But are there any more leads to get from this page? Because I still want to fill in the whole thing. Because I want to at least have seen everything that might be relevant. "17th birthday. His old name used to be Dirte Davy, right? According to fan sites, Felix Fellows is not 5P's actual name. His birth name is David Fellows. Dirte Davy was 5P's previous stage name. He used to sell records and perform live shows in Portland under that name. Dirte Devil and Dirt Poor. Dirte Devil was 5P's first mixtape, released as Dirte Davy, from the early 90s, in quotes. Oddly unspecific. Usually music has a copyright date. There's discrepancies about and debates about what year exactly it was released, based on some of the pop culture references, with the range thought to be somewhere between 1992 and 1994. One of the songs, Yes I Can Jump, seems to be the center of the confusion. Some fan sites claim that there are multiple versions with different track lists and song lengths on them, though because there's very little evidence of the mixtape online, it's even harder to verify that information. Okay. Something's up here. Yes I Can Jump is a song that was on 5P's mixtape Dirty Devil. It seemed to be the only song that didn't make it into a studio album that people thought should have. In it, he references a popular movie from 1992 called White Men Can't Jump. This reference has caused some confusion amongst the fan base because of it. It is agreed upon that the mixtape had to come out in 1992 at the earliest, but others point out that Fellows references seeing the movie on his 17th birthday. This would have to have been in 1994. You can see a movie later, right? VHS was out in the 90s. I was there. I think VHS started in the 80s? Because yeah, before VHS you couldn't watch movies. Like, you had to go to the theater when it was there. And then it went away. And then you couldn't watch movies? So like, when sequels came out, I think sequels were somewhat less popular back then, but even when they were kind of coming out and doing well, like blockbusters like Jaws and things like that, like people had less specific memory of what the previous movie was like, which is part of why sequels back then were more likely to almost be like remakes. They would kind of retread the original premise and just be a new movie that was like the previous movie. That was meant to also kind of stand on its own in many cases, because you didn't know if they saw the previous movie because it's not accessible anymore, and even if they did, they couldn't have watched it since for years. Some take this to mean that the album had to have been released in 1984 at the earliest. Others claim that it was likely just trying to make himself sound older, since in response to some of the more questionable lyrics, he has stated multiple times that he was just a dumb kid when it was released. That is the thing, is like he might have just... That's the thing about the 17 song too, is that there is a bit of like, what if he just had this idea of fixating on 17, but just made shit up, which, you know, from musicians to comedians, I kind of assume people make a lot of stuff up just to sound kind of interesting. Like, I've been loving Josh Johnson on YouTube lately, but I just don't think he always has that many interesting stories or that many very specific slapstick moments that happen coincidentally when he goes into a town. Like, he'll often have a story about the town that he's in, and he claims it's because he like goes around the town and like spends some time there, but like, you're touring so rapidly, you literally get like coincidentally create a story-worthy moment via happenstance in public right before each performance, like on a weekly basis. It's like these are just fun stories. These are made up. Not all of them, but some of them, yeah. And it's just like, it's his job to tell stories. It's not his job to be a historian. White men can't jump. Should I look up white men can't jump? Nope, it's just referenced here. That is very funny. White Men Can't Jump is a movie, so you would think that White Men Can't Jump would be more famous than Yes I Can Jump. It's also interesting that White Men Can't Jump is in quotes, but Yes I Can Jump is not in quotes. Let's see. Let's try Modern Music Monthly. Yes I Can Jump. No. For being a music magazine, it's surprisingly unhelpful for this entire discussion. So this is extremely suspicious. The question is, can we actually fucking prove any of it? So there's one remaining. I don't know what else to do with the music stuff though. The question is whether this is a red herring or not, because like economy of storytelling stuff tells me that this entire rabbit hole about his age being called into question makes me think that he's actually not an heir. But I really wish that I actually could prove it more consistently, because nobody like has a copy of this album. The only album we have is a single, and it's the most recent thing he put out. So it's like squeaky clean because he wrote it. If he's lying, he wrote it after he decided on the lie. So it's going to be probably airtight. Not going to randomly introduce a bunch of autobiographical information that would ruin your life. Even my numbers are gone. There's no numbers to help guide me whatsoever, because everything on the screen is technically solved because we did the real tree. We already got to the root of the root tree. Alright. Nope. Okay, oh yeah, right, that's how I get this menu. Okay. Not a mom. One of the most suspicious people to look into or to hear from is Courtney, because she's like calling out the lie on some level. Mom was advised by Ryan and Cork to tell News Time that seeing 5 P's on the cover was what inspired her to go. Who are Ryan and Cork? Hello. DNA.pdf. Ryan and Cork is an unremarkable law firm based in... Oh, because we know who about the Rootrees lawyer. But there was 2 lawyers involved. It was Anonymom's lawyer and their lawyer, and we have actually never heard about Anonymom's lawyer. An unremarkable law firm based in North Carolina, named after its senior partners Winston Ryan and Gregory Cork. The firm mostly handles local cases and recently represented Anonymom. Their website has a section about the case, including a scan of the DNA test results that proved Jane Doe Roottree was not a Roottree. Alright. Will I know how to read this at all? Combined relatedness index 0.5% match, not related. Huh. How does DNA work? The DNA of the alleged relative was compared to the tested child. Based on the results, the probability of relatedness is 0.5%. The likelihood of candidates are 2,000 to 1. Is it usually handled as a percentage thing? Alleged paternal aunt Bonnie Kellogg. Kellogg? Did that become her name? Gwyneth, no. Oh yeah, David Kellogg III. Wow, I've not thought about their name and ages because this was such a brief part of the story. I don't know anything about Bonnie. This is the most screen time Bonnie has gotten in the whole game, I think. I feel like she had no story. She'd be sound just being like, yeah, she had kids. Which is funny because she's right next to Guy on the family tree. Don't know what any of this means, so I'm gonna go ahead and just not fix it on that right now. There's a DNA test that you got from the website for the law firm Ryan and Cork. The test says that there was virtually no chance that Nana Mom's daughter, Courtney May, was a Roottree. It lists the DNA from a Jane Doe was tested against the DNA of Bonnie Kellogg, nee Hudson. I forgot what that means. But I can just look it up again. Originally called right, Bonnie Kellogg, aka previously Bonnie Hudson. Could have gotten that from context. Guy's twin sister, Ryan and Cork, who were representing Nana Mom, have confirmed that the sample they sent to the Roottree, stop it, was definitely Courtney May's hair. The test is from a company called Dinatico. DNA Tico, DNA Tech. Oh. That doctor has circled the results and signed the paper. All right. Let's see about, oops, Dinatico. Dinatico. Dinatico is a DNA testing company. DNA testing is a relatively new phenomenon that allows scientific laboratories to prove a possible family relationship between two people. It's fairly cutting edge. The method by which they test samples has only become standard in the last decade, as of the early 1900s. According to their site, Dinatico, it was responsible for the DNA test that proved Felix Fellows was a Roottree, and even use it as an example of how a DNA test looks. They use it to provide some information about the process. Whenever they take a sample in person, they put the name of the person on the test according to their legal ID, which is why it says David instead of Felix. Because Guy Hudson is dead, there's no known DNA source for Guy. They tested Felix's hair versus a hair sample sent from the Roottrees. It's listed as Jane Doe because it wasn't collected in person, but the Roottree company let them know it was from Bonnie Kellogg, Guy Hudson's hair. This is why it says it is a paternal aunt test. I want them to tell me, I want them to test the DNA of Jane Doe against Ruby Spratt. Because I feel like it's Ruby's hair, who definitely isn't related unless they are. That'd be the real big mess up. God damn it. There's no reason I should be yawning. I slept last night. It's the middle of the day. Partly it's just talking a lot sometimes. The left and right sets of numbers are... I've had 2 cups of coffee this hour. The left and right sets of numbers are essentially signatures that perfectly match the DNA of the 2 people in question and nobody else. Sorry, I blanked out and thought signatures, and I was like, signatures? Can I match her signature to her? Can I match the handwriting signature between the 2 people? But I'm like, oh, it's a metaphor. Fuck. The way the test works is that if certain parts of the signature are shared, then it's very likely 2 people are related. As far as you can tell, Dinatico is a legitimate company. They don't seem to have any reason to create fake results or hide the truth. So they're probably legit. This is the example version. This is a DNA test you got from Dinatico's website. According to the website, it's the famous test that proved Felix Fellows was a root tree. They received his permission to post it as their example for potential clients. The site says there's a 99% chance that David Fellows is related to the alleged aunt, who is listed as Jane Doe. As far as you can tell, Dinatico is a third and they're respectful and good. Adrian Rowland, PhD. That's how you pronounce, how you spell it. It's weird that these DNA tests aren't next to each other. This one's like, it says example, but it is signed in blue ink. The other one's a photocopy. Let's see. 1.83, 16, 15, 16. 0, 13, 14. Okay. This must be the percentage in common or something. Allele size is 18, 18, 20. It's a lot of number pairs where each one has one matching number. Not this one. Yeah, I don't know how to read this. Chromosomes match up. They did not name this one Bonnie Kellogg because it's a Jane Doe, in that it was not collected in person. This one says Bonnie Kellogg, not like Jane Doe 1 and Jane Doe 2, because one of them goes by Jane Doe. One of them goes by Jane Doe for being not just like for the normal anonymous reasons, like they're going for as Jane Doe in the press, but here it says Bonnie Kellogg, even though they're not supposed to show the name of the person if they didn't collect it from them directly. Unless their implication is that this time they got it from Bonnie Kellogg in person. Are they doing it with one person in person each time and the other person sending theirs in? Because she's alive. She can just come in. It could be that Bonnie is the Jane Doe here, and here the Jane Doe is the Jane Doe, and Bonnie's actually there. But like, I wish they would specify. Why does it say Bonnie Kellogg? And why is it a photocopy? Why is it a photocopy, and why is this written in red ink over the photocopy? Meaning it wasn't written on the original document. And this one is a printout. It says it has example as a watermark in the background. to indicate that this is like a thing that they mass print. But then the bottom is signed in blue ink. I'm confused by both these documents. Neither of them make sense to me for why they would exist in that form. Does he sign every copy? Does the printer print the blue ink in color, I guess? Oh, God. I don't know what to do with that part in general, because mainly we just already called into question that the DNA is sus because we know that she was throwing pieces out. I found everything? Fuck, man. Why is this the last one? I wonder if this has, like, more significance or something. What really happened with Roottree? Nobody from Roottree that they reached out to was willing to go on record. Source on the inside. Helen says the family actually held a preliminary vote after Carl Roottree died, but before the release of 6 pieces, and they decided they wanted Ron Roottree to take over, but because of his experience running our productions, and because he was well known and well respected Roottree. But Ron seemed way too eager and personally motivated. They were worried that he would gut the Clancy Trust to remove Robbie Roottree. The family was notoriously unwilling to do anything that could risk their wealth. They stalled, and Ron became frustrated with the delay. When 6 pieces came out, he saw his chance to force action while the family was in the limelight and released the press release himself in an attempt to get the ball rolling faster. This caused chaos within the family. They tried to save face by allowing Ron to take over as co-president, but he was impossible to deal with because he wanted to go after the Clancy Trust. What am I supposed to do with that? I don't... I'm just like staring at this in bafflement. I'm like, what does this say have to do with anything? I mean, it's the premise, I guess. Very weird. I don't know. I'm not getting anything from this. What's interesting is that Ruby Spratt has redistribute the wealth rhetoric in her past stuff, and so does David Fellows, but specifically in the song he released after claiming to be a Roottree. So that's interesting. We know that Ruby and David knew each other because they were from a tiny pool of orphans that grew up together, which is extremely suspect already. And then when he reinvents himself as 5Ps, he starts singing about redistributing the wealth in sort of a hackneyed sort of way, when specifically we know that Ruby did her valedictorian speech about exactly that. So Ruby's incentivized by those kinds of things. We apparently know that Ruby is fucking with the DNA evidence because she specifically feigned ignorance about something and hoped that nobody would know better than enough to know differently, which is extremely suspicious. And we know that if this letter is correct, then Anonymom and Courtney May Watts put their story in first, which definitely paints the picture that they told their story, but Ruby has the power in this situation, and repeatedly people shut out anyone that doesn't have the power and ignores their stories. It seems like Ruby stole their story, propped up a friend of hers to get the money, be like, that's a good idea, we should do that story. with the goal being that if they put the story out, it would discredit Courtney May Watts, and so they don't have to pay them, but then they get to take the money for themselves. And then suddenly, after he sings, after this thing is planned, Ruby, who is herself specifically part lawyer, part PR firm, has him put out a new album with rewritten lyrics, and specifically the single from it has like redistributing the wealth terminology throughout it, slogans, whatever you want to put it, rhetoric, and that really points to her influence, right? Like that's a connection. I don't know, I've just kind of gone in believing that he's not a Roottree as I go through this whole thing. Ever since we found out about Courtney, I've been like, I don't think that, I think this is I think that's intuitively feels like it's what the story is. And enough is added up that I think I'm going to say that he is not a Roottree. And that only took hours. Currently leaning towards saying that this guy is a question mark, but I might just keep going until I've seemingly locked everybody in, and then with the question mark people, I might just have to give up on them functionally. So far, 1 Roottree and 2 non-Roottrees is a wild ratio, but given how many, there's 10. God, there's 10 left? Holy fuck, this part of the game is time consuming for me. Maybe everyone. See you next time.